Welcome to 9 Times. My name is Garrett, and I'm creating my own world. Okay, so here's the original sketch I was going off of this time. The original intent was to make this into some huge plant creature that was carnivorous. But then coming back to the idea, I decided making it a smaller thing would be the better option. And the idea that made me think of this was the concept of a creature that disguises itself as fruit of a certain tree. I really liked that idea, so I wanted to explore it. One thing is, these mimics will probably be more vivid than the actual fruit that they're mimicking, to have more appeal to someone looking for food. The idea would be they hide their little arms, which would be these tentacles, these long and thin things, until they need them or until someone grabs them and tries to eat them. And then they would basically just wrap them around these guys and choke them out. Or one thought was they could have some type of stinger in there that paralyzes their victims, and then they latch onto them. And the idea would be they would basically suck out their blood, brains, or what have you. Kind of like a spider does in its web when it catches a fly or something. It kind of just sits there. This thing would basically just have its victims that it catches up in the tree with it. It'd be very strong, mostly grip strength with its tentacles despite its size. Basically, while this thing is eating something or someone, it would look pretty eerie up in a tree. Especially if it's a person, it would very much look like this person is hanging by their neck from a noose. So this could be a very creepy sight to come across. Obviously, once enough dead bodies pile around the tree, it's going to have to move to another spot. People and animals are probably going to avoid a tree that has a bunch of corpses lying around it. Like I was implying before, these things don't eat their entire victim. They kind of just suck out the innards of them. It's a little morbid to think about, so I'm not drawing examples of this happening this time at least. So they hang onto their branch, and somehow they hide their tentacles. Suffice it to say, these guys are very strong for their size, at least as far as grip strength goes. This concept eventually begged the question of whether or not these things actually look like the fruit themselves, like their shell mimics that, or if they're kind of like an octopus and they mimic whatever they want to mimic. The octopus one would be a bit creepier, but a little overpowered, I'd say, even though it would be a creature. If it can just turn into any old fruit, I feel like it would change the dynamic of people gathering fruit a little too much. Maybe the trade-off for this thing is it only mimics this one fruit from this one tree, but that fruit is really, really good. So it's worth the risk sometimes. Maybe later I'll change it, but I kind of prefer the idea of it just mimicking 1 or 2 specific fruits. Maybe there's 1 or 2 options you could have, 1 or 2 trees that might be one of these mimics. I can picture some kind of encounter happening. Some guy musing about, this one doesn't have any dew on it for some reason. All these other ones have dew. They do have dew. And his partner saying, hey, don't touch that one. It's a devil fruit, and it will kill you. The tentacles are long and thin, so pretty painful if it's really gripping, especially around the neck. And I think I might add in, some little spikes here and there, some just thin spikes along one of the sides. For size, I'm thinking probably pineapple-sized or so. I think it's interesting to have this thing that's not exactly this terrifying thing if you see it, but it's pretty creepy and pretty much makes you want to avoid this fruit unless you really, really want it. And that might be a cool little thing in this world of having a market for these things. So these things could probably be pretty pricey and something that is usually on wealthier people's dining tables. Also makes me wonder what these things themselves would taste like. Maybe they're even a delicacy as well. Maybe even more so. Let me know if you prefer the tan or gray backgrounds to sketch on. I can't really decide which I like more. I'm leaning towards the gray, but let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Catch you later.